English news brought to you live by RTD. Sector infrastructure. The head of state is going to inaugurate tomorrow the port of Djibouti. China, the official meeting of the Department of Foreign Affairs.
Those were top stories, and thanks for joining us in our newsroom. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, had yesterday a working meeting with the Chinese delegation led by the Vice Chinese Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Zhang Yishu, who started a working visit in Djibouti. The ways and means to promote and further develop the relations of friendship and cooperation between the two countries and peoples have been discussed during the meeting. The discussions were then extended to the identification of new poles of possible collaboration between the two parties after the mega projects already endorsed between them, including the electric railway, the port multipurpose of Djibouti, and the new free zone of Djibouti.
In intervention, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, has indicated that this working meeting was held before the greeting of the Vice Chinese Foreign Minister, a meeting with the head of state, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh. He has also mentioned the forthcoming inauguration of the Farah naval base in China to Djibouti and the competition that this last is supposed to bring it, the fight against marine piracy in this part of the world.
The Minister of the Economy and Finances in charge of the industry, Ms. Ilyas Moussedouale, has today signed a funding agreement with the World Bank, represented by Mr. Atusek, the representative of the World Bank in Djibouti. The ceremony was held in the presence of the Minister of Energy, Younes Gedi Ali, and the Director General of the EDD, Mr. Jama Ali Gheli, as well as several senior officials and of the World Bank as well. This funding agreement in the amount of $23 million equivalent to more than 4 billion Djibouti francs will fund the project of sustainable electrification and access to electricity. The objective of this project is to support the government of Djibouti in its efforts to extend significantly the rate of electrification in order to contribute to support the policy of socio-economic development of the regions and reduce urban migration. In the intervention, the representative of the World Bank of Djibouti, Mr. Atusek, declared pleased to sign with the Minister of Finance this funding agreement that will improve the conditions of life of Djiboutians. This project, he said, will provide access to the services of electricity to 13,960 homes in Balbala and in the regions of the interior, and that is to say more than 100,000 people in total.
In an interview granted to the national television, the Director General of ADD, Mr. Jama Ali Gheli, has stated that it's a very important day for us today to proceed with the signature this funding agreement with the World Bank. He added that the objective of this funding agreement is to support the effort of the government of Djibouti for extending significantly the rate of electrification national and contribution to support the policy of socio-economic development of the region of the interior. The direct beneficiary of the project will be the household living in the urban of the rural area, and the user of the social infrastructure will enjoy a public lighting thanks to this project.
And on its side, the Minister of the Economy and Finances in charge of industry, Ilyas Moussedouale, gave more details on this agreement of funding granted by the World Bank that rises to more than 4 billion of our francs. The signing of agreements on funding for this project will provide access to electricity, he said, to a greater number of the poorest population in two successive phases. The first phase will aim to complete the electrification of Balbala while supporting the initiative launched by the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, to stop the creation of slums. The second phase will give rise to the extension of the network to the medium voltage in the region of the interior in order to allow to connect to the national network for a significant proportion of the population. He added that the objective of this project of sustainable electricity access and the access of electricity is to accompany the socio-economic development of the country and especially to improve the conditions of life of our citizens.
The Minister of Communication, Mr. Abdi Yusuf Suge, is in Geneva since the opening of the last 12 June, the World Summit of the Information Company. This Great World Assembly provided an opportunity for the exchange of information, the creation of knowledge, and the sharing of the best practice. It is allowed to identify emerging trends in the evaluation of society and information and knowledge. The highlight level meeting showed the effective participation and fruitful decision makers, including Minister in charge of Telecommunication ICT, the member of the countries in this high-level event. The Republic of Djibouti was represented by the Minister of Communication responsible for Post and Telecommunication, Mr. Abdi Yusuf Suge, and the head of a large delegation. The opening of the forum has been made by the speech of the important personality, who is Mr. Huzlin Zhao, the Secretary General of ITU. One of the stronger moments of the opening of this high-level event was the restoration of the award for the implementation of the project in connection with the action of the World Summit of the Information Society.
In Geneva as well, the Minister of Labour in charge of the reform of the administration, His Excellency Hassan Idriss Samire, at the head of a strong delegation, is presently participating in the 160th session of the International Labour Conference, which began its work since June 5. On the sidelines of this session, the Minister of Labour, responsible for the reform of the administration, met with the Director General of the ILO, Mr. Guy Ryder, to discuss common issues of interest to strengthen tripartism and promote the social dialogue in Djibouti. The Minister immediately assured the Director of the availability of the government to strengthen the collaboration with the service of the ILO, in particular on the trade union situation in Djibouti. And many other subjects. The Minister reiterated the commitment of the Republic of Djibouti in the context of the celebration of the centennial of the ILO in 2019 by contributing in particular to a tripartite national consultation on the future of the labor before the end of the year 2017. As part of this meeting, representatives of the Works Trade Union also called for human capacity building in order to be better equipped to defend workers' interests by guaranteeing them the minimum standards of protection, the National Labour Conventions and International Labour Convention.
Under the high patronage of the Secretary of State for Social Affairs, Mrs. Mona Osman Aden, the Saudi Arabian Religion Attachment, has organized last night a ceremony for the official launch of the King Salman bin Abdulaziz food distribution project for the year 2017. This annual ceremony has seen the participation of the Ambassador of Saudi Arabia in Djibouti, Mr. Abdulaziz bin Abdullah Adaoud, and the Director of the Region Attachment, Sheikh Abdul Rabah Ahmad Hakim. The project of the King Salman bin Abdulaziz enrolled with the framework of the effort and by Saudi Arabia comes to the distribution of the government to improve living conditions for the poor and the most vulnerable family. The release is reached that the launch of the Salman King project for the 6th consecutive year reflecting the Southern Authority will to support the economy and develop process in our country. Some 1,000 Djiboutian families will benefit this humanitarian management, which entails during the month of Ramadan.
In for his part, the ambassador of the Guardian of the two holy mosques in Djibouti strongly welcomed the fraternal relations and solid ties between Saudi Arabia and the Republic of Djibouti, underlining that this project is an extension of the country's two holy mosques to help disadvantaged groups in Djibouti. Mr. Abdulaziz bin Abdullah Al Daoud, and take this opportunity to express his gratitude and appreciation to the servant of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, and the President of the Republic, Ismail Margele, for their tireless effort to consolidate fraternal relations and ties between the two brotherly people, have noted. And the ambassador in the project includes an integrated food basket for every poor family that belongs to the popular neighborhoods of the city of Djibouti, including bags of rice, sugar, flour, oil, and powdered milk.
The Secretary of State for Social Affairs in previous statement expressed his satisfaction to witness the launch for the food project of the servant of two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz. Muna Usman Adam said that this annual project has probably helped to reduce the suffering of poor and low-income population of the Republic of Djibouti. She also spoke of the good brotherly relation between Djibouti and Riyadh, emphasized Saudi support for program and activities to provide assistance and assist to poor families in Djibouti. At the end, the Secretary of the State for Social Affairs expressed his thanks and appreciation of the government of the servant of the two holy mosques, who spared no effort to accompany the effort of the Djiboutian government to achieve economic and social development and the fight against poverty and improving the living condition of vulnerable groups.
As every year during the month of Ramadan, sports tournaments in Djibouti are the main attraction of this holy month before the breaking of fast and after the night prayer of Taraweeh. Like the Arab Muslim words for our little thumb of the Horn of Africa, Ramadan is indeed the month by excellence of sports tournament. Organized by the community centers, the sector of the Secretary of State for Youth and Sports in charge of the promotion and development of youth, these sports meetings held throughout the territory of the country unleash passions during the month of Ramadan, and it must be said that for many Djiboutians in the afternoon, sports is practiced to deceive thirst and hunger. At night, it is the best way to ensure maintenance in one's body, and in the afternoon as well as at night, sports tournaments always move immense crowds in the period of fasting. It should be emphasized that these Ramadan tournaments have become a true tradition over the years, and these meetings included only young footballers 20 years ago, and today it is the young people who organize the tournament, the Ramadan tournament, and expect that the football games during this blessed month of Ramadan generally take place in the playgrounds of the community centers, and their success sparks on practitioners from other sports disciplines that have been initiated in recent years, such as basketball tournaments and as well as the K2WO and volleyball and petanque.
And now let us move on to international news. A court of appeal has confirmed the suspension of the decree prohibiting nationals of 6 Muslim countries the right of on American territory. The charge filed that specifically tweets the president demonstrates the measure was discrimination. The court appeal of San Francisco has invoked Monday 12 a sharpening of the American President Donald Trump to justify his decision to confirm the suspension of anti-immigration controversial decree. This text sent in January 2017 and which aimed to prohibiting the access of American soil to the national of 6 countries with a Muslim majority had been suspended in the first instance by the federal court in Hawaii. It is presidential Twitter of the 7th June 2017 about the attack in London, which has sealed the fact of an order to court appeal. And yes, there is indeed a travel ban for certain dangerous countries, has chanted Donald Trump. For the three church in California, the return of 140 character of the American president may hold against him in justice, because his official statement they have thus resumed on affirmation on the senior Spicer, the spokesman of the White House, who has stressed 6 June that the president had everything he said in public and a social position. That's all for this afternoon news. Thank you for watching us and have a good evening.